This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Carbonite. Coming up, Jeff reports from Vegas from the Namco Global Gamers Day.
The Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad Show.
So I'm in Las Vegas at the Namco Bandai Global Gamers Day. Joining me is Jeff Mattas from Shacknews and the We Can Confirm podcast. And we have spent the entire day today seeing the entire slate of Namco Bandai upcoming video game releases. I think let's start with the biggest news, which was Dark Souls is coming to the PC.
Yes, it is.
August 24th.
Yes, that is correct. And that's
about
it.
all we know about that.
Yeah.
We asked a lot of questions about the forthcoming Dark Souls PC port, which is very much a port.
Yes. There is a vague amount of extra content coming to the game. They said between 3 and 4 new levels and 3 and 4 new bosses.
Which all sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
We got no other information about that, so we don't know what those bosses are going to be or what those areas are going to look like. We saw the game running on a PC. Looks pretty much like running
Like it does, yeah.
PlayStation or Xbox. And it was in fact even played with a console controller. And I asked specifically about keyboard and mouse controls, and the response I got was, we recommend you play it with a gamepad.
That is what I heard as well. So
Very odd, I thought.
yeah, it makes you wonder about the whole. Do they know really? Do they understand why people want it ported to the PC?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
It's not just another platform. I think people are excited about the idea of playing it with more hotkeys, with keyboard and mouse, and it seems like they're not interested in doing that.
Yeah, I don't quite understand, but I'm sure it'll be cool. I mean, Dark Souls is a great game.
Yes.
You know, they're not going to lose any awesomeness in the port, I don't think, but
It's
it's
a little
port.
odd. It feels like it is very, very much a port. I was hoping that we were going to get some new interface options, some new control methods, and maybe a little more stuff for somebody that might be new to the franchise. A little easier, little ease of use, you know, for the especially with a PC where you can type stuff.
And perhaps a little more graphical horsepower.
Yeah.
You know,
It doesn't
that
look
would've-
bad.
No, no, not by any means. But
Yeah.
you're porting it to PC, higher end by nature. Typically, why not? You know, throw in a little extra
Oomph.
oomph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also saw Ni No Kuni, which is a game I am extremely excited about. This is a collaboration between Level 5 and Studio Ghibli, the Hayao Miyazaki studio that has done so many amazing films over the years. And this has actual animation that was done by the studio, 2D animation, to tell what is very much a Studio Ghibli type story. It's a little kid who has some sort of tragedy happen, and one of his toys comes to life, and it takes him on a magical adventure.
It looks amazing. Animation looks amazing. The combat system in the game is really fun and engaging. It didn't feel like it was something I'd really played a lot before. So
yeah, it's an awesome combination between a very traditional Japanese role-playing turn-based system where you are on an overmap and you run into an enemy and then it zooms in and now you're on a smaller battlefield and you do that kind of thing, but combined with a real-time combat kind of situation. So your character, the little boy, has these familiars that he can throw onto the battlefield, and you can choose to either control them directly or sort of just issue commands like a coach might.
Right. Yeah, you can actually run around as one of these little familiars and cast spells, and then switch over to the main character again and do a couple of things and switch. It's really keeps the combat going really well. It's really fun, and like I said, it looks fantastic. If you're a Miyazaki
really
fan,
does.
Yeah.
It's as close to playing one of those Miyazaki movies as I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen a lot of cell-shaded games, but I think this looks more like playing a real animated, hand-drawn animated film.
Yeah, sometimes in those types of games you get the the cutscenes have that look and feel, and then you get to the gameplay and it doesn't quite match. But this really looked like it meshed really well. It's like one style, very cohesive. Thought it was great.
Now, it's been out in Japan already, and they're taking over a year to do the localization, and they're taking a lot of care and effort into making it feel right for the European and American markets.
And also, the localization, they're going to include Japanese language with English subtitles for those of you who are JRPG purists. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
it looks stunning. I'm just very sad that it's not going to be until first quarter 2013.
yeah, it's a little far away.
Dragon Ball Z Connect.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, of course, crazy, over-the-top anime series with must train for battles, and now you get to gesticulate and do kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of flailing going on in the demo.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was a lot of flailing. It's very look, if you have a little kid or you're really into Dragon Ball Z, you might find something to really enjoy about it. But again, it seems sort of like, I heard somebody, probably the best thing I heard somebody say today was that they were thinking about adding it to their repertoire of Kinect games that they would use to work out and try to lose weight, because you really are. It's a lot of really fast punching and kicks and not really my thing.
Yeah, not really my thing either, but I appreciate the effort. The little bit of clarity that I would like on the title is it looks like it's a first-person fighting game, but then there are moments where it's in third person, so I wasn't really sure how that mixture worked.
No, and from what I could tell, it was basically following a series of on-screen prompts. Like it tells you to punch like crazy or kick or do a thing or
charge up. Yeah.
And,
it could be cool for the right audience.
Yeah.
Tekken Tag Tournament 2, speaking of the right audience,
yes.
It's interesting to me that literally in the last year and a half to 2 years, fighting games are back in a big way, and it really was the big keynote presentation that we saw here. It was the last game they showed. It was the biggest game they showed. They had a Lamborghini decked out in Tekken Tag Tournament 2 stuff. They had cosplay chicks and the
champagne
producer,
and craziness.
Yeah, he rolled in with his pinstripe suit and his music blaring, and it was like the big game. Here with Harada-san, the producer of Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Who made an awesome entrance, I have to say, today. Tell us a little bit about the Lamborghini.
ランボについてちょっと話してもいいですか？そうですね。ランボルギーニは僕がラスベガスに来て一昨日買ってきたんですけど、買ってきて初日に駐車場に置いといたらスタッフにこうやって鉄拳ステッカーいう風に貼られてあんな姿になっちゃいました。 Well, I got to Vegas 2 days ago and I picked up the Lambo at that time, and then when I parked it down at the hotel, I came out the next day and our staff had plastered it with Tekken stickers. So.
ただあれ日本だとこう坂が多くて下を擦ってしまうので乗れる場所がないからここに置いていこうと思います。
But I can't take it to Japan with me because there's a lot of hills. You'd scrape the bottom to.
So you gotta stay in Vegas.
So we're gonna leave it here, I think.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the combo moves that we're gonna see from the various characters? You can tag in at any time. So is there going to be lots of different combos between characters, or how is that going to work?
探すのがすごく楽しいと思います。
Well, there's so many possibilities because we have so many characters, and you can pair a particular character with any other. It's all up to you. So obviously, the combo possibilities, because you can change in and out, is large. There's roughly 2 different types of combos. One is the tag combo, where you launch your opponent and then you switch out and continue with your other character. There's also the tag assault, where you have 2 characters on screen at the same time beating up on your opponent. And then also, even for example, if you take your opponent to the wall and slam them into the wall, you can even get more damage if you call your partner out and such. So just finding the different combinations and possibilities with each character combination there is something we think people will really be interested in with the game.
It looks very cool, and I think the biggest bit of news from today is that DLC is going to be free. Do we have any kind of time frame to expect additional characters or stages?
そういう感じでやろうかなと思ってます。
Well, this is something that we are doing for the first time for Tekken. We've never had download content before. And this is something we announced today, that we're going to have stages and characters. We're going to have a lot of them, but we don't have a schedule decided yet. And of course, it's going to be free, as we mentioned, some kind of unlock or maybe a download. But the way we want to do it, though, is that we don't want to charge money for it. And maybe some will be available on release, but some might be available after release. And one other thing we're considering is perhaps having some kind of a pre-order bonus. You can have this particular DLC for that. But it's not like that will be exclusive forever, and people who don't have it won't ever get to have the character. It's just that the people who do get the pre-order will be able to play it for a little bit quicker, at an earlier time.
Well, the way we end all our segments on our show is that we all slam our fists together. So I would be honored if all three of us could do that. Would you?
いつも終わるときにガンってフィストをぶつけるけど、
Ready?
やりますか3人で。
Okay.
It's been a while since Tekken has been the big game.
Yeah, it has. And, you know, I personally have never really gotten... I'm not a huge fighting game guy, but Tekken was one of the games that seemed sort of inaccessible to me initially, you know, but by the time I got around to playing it, all my friends would kick my ass.
Yeah.
They're including a cool new mode in the game called, what is it, Fight
Lab?
Fight Lab, yes.
Yeah.
Fight Lab. And so it's basically... It's sort of like a Trojan horse tutorial. So it's not, they really don't want to call it a tutorial, but it gives you a series of like little missions and objectives and mini games that are basically centered around Combot, which is the robot. Anyway, you basically go through these mini games and stuff, and it teaches you how to do high and low kicks and sidestep and do all your special moves and stuff.
Yeah.
Might be a better way for, you know, novice players or, you know, I guess they were saying that even people who are really experts at the game could you know, sort of high score chase or ladder chase with that sort of that mode. So it sounds like
they're trying to disguise what is usually a very dry tutorial mode into something that's kind of interesting. And you create this combat, and then you get to customize him in certain ways. It looks kind of interesting.
Right, yeah.
And they also showed the 2-on-1. So not only can you do tag tournament where you do 2-on-2, and even up to 4 players at once, which was pretty wild.
Yeah.
But you can do 2-on-1, and I thought it was interesting. The 2-on-1 really isn't what I assumed it was, which was a sort of a handicap match. It really isn't a handicap match. It's just choosing your particular play style.
Right.
So you can either choose to play two characters that you can swap in and out, or one character, and that character is takes a little less damage, but also you don't have to defeat both characters to win. You just can defeat one of them, and you win the match.
Yeah, yeah. So it is balanced, I guess, you know, in the arcade. I mean, this Tekken Tag 2 has been in the arcade for a while.
Yeah.
You know, there are players on both sides of the fence. They say, oh yeah, you know, 2 characters is the best way to go, and there are people that are saying 1 character is the best way to go, which is sort of indicative that it's probably fairly balanced.
Yeah.
You know.
And then I guess the only thing left to talk about is Star Trek, which they showed some more bits of. We got to see a presentation in 3D, so the game is going to support 3D.
Yep.
And they're touting this, what they're calling asymmetrical co-op. So the new Star Trek game built around J.J. Abrams' version of the Star Trek universe, with Kirk and Spock right dead center in the mythos. So it really is one player plays Kirk, one player plays Spock, or if you're playing single player, you can play either one. And they don't play the same, which is where the asymmetrical part comes in. So you have moments in the story that happen that each handle in a different way, each gets different weapons that handle in very different ways, and they're trying to create a system where if you choose Spock, you're playing a very different game than if you choose Kirk. Right. Although the game itself is very much a action game. It's not a thinking man's Star Trek game. It's very much Gears of War.
They were sort of, you know, mentioned being fans of games like Gears of War and Uncharted and stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily expect any dialogue trees or anything like that in this game.
Yeah.
You know, the story, they are focusing on story. It takes place after the events of the reboot movie that they just released, or not just released, but that came out a while ago. I thought it looked really good.
I did too. I thought it looked very good, and it looks very promising. They stressed over and over how much of a responsibility they feel and how much the actual film creators, Lindelof, Kurtzman and Orsi, J.J. Abrams himself, are all really involved, heavily involved in making the game and want it to be good, which is great to hear.
No, I mean, they've got the whole full studio support and everything. Yeah, I think everything's gonna really fit into the Star Trek universe pretty well. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get a chance to play it.
Me too.
Or, you know, the post demo Q&A was, there's a lot more information that's going to be coming out at E3, let's just put it that way. There weren't really forthcoming with a lot of new bits, but you know, I guess if their objective was to tease us and to make us interested,
it worked.
It worked.
Yeah, the little gameplay bit that they showed played live on stage was pretty exciting, and I think bodes well if the series can be like that. I mean, there was like a flying sequence, kind of shooting through space with those personal jetpack type things.
Right. Yeah.
And then some full-on, what looks like very similar to Mass Effect in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That kind of shooting sci-fi setting.
The tricorder's in there, so you can scan dead bodies to get more information. It'll actually, I think, make certain other later aspects of the game easier. So if you scan enough stuff, it'll make a challenge mini game a little easier to.
Yeah, they referenced Metroid Prime in that way.
Yeah.
And they also showed a bit where they used the tricorder to activate something in the environment that would then, malfunction and attack someone, or activate a shut off force field to create cover that they could then cover behind.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool stuff, and they definitely said that and showed Spock doing a mind meld,
which was awesome.
Turns a bad guy into a good guy for you. So hey, if you could mind meld in a Star Trek game, I'm in.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was our experience at Gamers Day, Namco's Gamers Day. Any other final bits?
Well, I think a lot, from all that we saw, I think we're going to have a lot more information about these particular titles come out at E3. I think this is really sort of the pre-E3 show.
It really was. It was a tease, but they have some interesting titles coming out, and I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I am too, actually.
All right, let's punch it out.
All right, everybody, be sure to stick around. We're going to be answering one of your Twitter questions right after this, but first we want to thank our sponsor. Carbonite protects your files from computer crashes, fire, theft, or whenever you accidentally delete a file by automatically and continually backing up your files and keeping them securely off-site. You'll never have to remember to back up again, whether you have 1 or 2 computers at your home, several computers at a small business. Carbonite is the better backup plan. Over 1 million customers trust Carbonite to protect their home and small business computer files. With plans
what about my
starting
other
at
files?
All of your files, including others. With plans starting at just $59 a year. That's $59 a full year of protection. Start your free trial at Carbonite.com with the offer code TRS, and you'll get 2 bonus months if you decide to buy. That's Carbonite.com, and the offer code for 2 bonus months. TRS.
Don't forget that offer code.
TRS. Get off on my code.
Exactly.
Send in your backgrounds.
Oh, yes. Where would they send them?
Send in your backgrounds. Fans at TotallyRadShow.com. See you tomorrow.
Join us tomorrow for Media Mashup.
Greg, at Fritz1013, asks us via Twitter if you could know the truth about an event that has been suspected of conspiracy, which one would you choose?
Interesting.
On 3?
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, mine's a sentence.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Did aliens visit prehistoric Egypt? I didn't want to do it. I was like, how do I say this? Not prehistoric either.
Oh, here it is. We have prehistoric Egypt.
I said Area 51.
I said Bigfoot.
Oh, that's a good one. I wanted to know.
Did you see Harry and the Hendersons? He's adorable.
He's adorable. I wanted to know if aliens came down and met with the Egyptian people to give them the whole pyramids building and all that stuff, and also the Mayans and gave them pyramids and all that
Roland
stuff.
Emmerich says yes, so.
No, his
Bigfoot
movie
is a
said crazy.
conspiracy, though.
Yeah, it is.
That's not a conspiracy either.
Yes, it is. It is totally
That's just a mystery. Conspiracy means people have been preventing the knowledge from coming out. On Bigfoot.
Yes.
Yes.
They've been sabotaging Super 8 films.
Thank you for sending in your question, Greg.
Yeah, those guys set back HD camcorders like years.